Some sci-fi films don't just flop, they vanish like glitches in the Matrix. These 90s thrillers predicted streaming, AI nightmares, VR addiction, and biohacking before any of it existed. They had budgets, stars, and visions of our actual future. But while everyone lined up for Independence Day and The Matrix, these films were warning us what would actually destroy us. And we ignored every single one. 10. Dark City, 1998. Released in February 1998, just weeks before The Matrix, Alex Proyas directed Rufus Sewell in a noir about reality being rewritten every night by pale aliens in trench coats. The film should have been massive. Instead, the studio moved its release date to avoid Titanic, then watched it get crushed by The Matrix, which explored eerily similar themes about controlled realities. The entire city was built on sound stages at Fox Studios Australia, the largest indoor set ever constructed at the time. Kiefer Sutherland created his character's bizarre breathing pattern and halting speech because he decided the underground doctor would have asthma, never telling Proyas his reasoning. The studio forced Proyas to add opening narration explaining the entire mystery because they assumed audiences were too stupid to follow it. He's still bitter. Jennifer Connelly trained for 3 months to do her own singing in the nightclub scenes. The Wachowskis visited the Dark City set during production. Make of that what you will. 9. Event Horizon, 1997. Paul W.S. Anderson sent Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill on a rescue mission in August 1997 to a ship that literally went to hell and came back. Paramount panicked at test screenings, butchered 30 minutes from the edit, and released it to die. The Hell Dimension footage was so genuinely disturbing that Paramount locked it in a Transylvanian salt mine for storage. Then, the mine flooded and destroyed everything. Set designer Joseph Bennett based the ship's Gothic interior on Notre Dame Cathedral because he believed hell should feel religious. The production designer filled the medical bay with actual human remains borrowed from medical schools. Multiple crew members had panic attacks working in there. Kathleen Quinlan's scene drowning in blood wasn't CGI. They built a real flooding chamber, and she did it in one take, submerged in fake blood while the set filled around her. Fishburne later said the set had a genuine evil feeling that never went away. The lost footage would have made the film unreleasable anyway. Sometimes studios save movies by accidentally destroying them. 8-inch Strange Days, 1995. Catherine Bigelow directed Ralph Fiennes as an illegal memory dealer on New Year's Eve 1999, selling POV recordings of other people's experiences. Released Christmas Day 1995 with a 3-hour runtime and $42 million budget, it made $8 million total. Audiences didn't want a dark meditation on police brutality, racial violence, and technology addiction during the holidays. The POV camera rig weighed 90 pounds and had to be mounted on actors' heads. Several suffered concussions. The Rodney King beating happened during pre-production. They kept the script's police violence subplot, making audiences even more uncomfortable. Angela Bassett did her own stunts for the car chase while wearing a camera rig and driving without the insurance company's knowledge until after filming. Juliette Lewis was cast after Drew Barrymore dropped out, calling the POV assault scene too intense to film. James Cameron produced and co-wrote it, proving he saw the future more clearly when he stayed underwater. The film predicted body cams, deepfakes, and our addiction to experiencing life through screens. We weren't ready to watch ourselves that honestly. 7. The 13th Floor, 1999. Craig Bierko discovers his 1930s simulation contains people who are discovering their simulations in this April 1999 release, the same month as The Matrix. Nobody wanted the other virtual reality movie. It made $16 million globally. They built an entire 1930s Los Angeles street on the same backlot where LA Confidential filmed 2 years earlier, using identical buildings. Vincent D'Onofrio gained 40 pounds and created completely different accents for his 1930s character versus his modern character, who are technically the same person existing across simulations. Roland Emmerich was originally attached to direct, dropped out for Godzilla, then called abandoning this the worst career decision I ever made after seeing the finished film. The edge of the simulation scene used practical effects. They built a partial street that literally ended mid-block, extending it with matte paintings to show reality dissolving. While The Matrix asked, what if reality is fake? This film asked, what if you're the fake thing inside the fake reality? That extra layer of existential horror was apparently one layer too many for 1999 audiences. 6. Sphere, 1998. Barry Levinson sent Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, and Samuel L. Jackson underwater with an alien sphere that manifests their darkest fears in February 1998. $80 million budget, massive stars, made $37 million. Turns out nobody wanted claustrophobic paranoia from their winter blockbusters. They filmed in a real underwater habitat 40 feet down, with the cast staying submerged for 6-hour shifts. Stone developed an ear infection that nearly burst her eardrum from the pressure changes but kept filming. The jellyfish attack sequence used real jellyfish that had accidentally gotten into the tank overnight. The crew decided to film it anyway. Samuel L. Jackson's descent into deep-sea psychosis was based on actual psychological breaks experienced by divers. Michael Crichton had based the character on real case studies, and several diving consultants told the production the behavior was too accurate and genuinely frightened them. The sphere grants unlimited power, and humans immediately destroy themselves with it. The box office was proof of concept. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the alien technology, it's watching what we do with it, if we had the chance. 5. Johnny Mnemonic, 1995. Keanu Reeves played a data courier with information literally stored in his brain in May 1995, based on William Gibson's cyberpunk story that basically predicted cloud storage and information addiction. Made $19 million on a $26 million budget. Too weird for mainstream audiences, not weird enough for actual cyberpunk fans. Ice-T's character lives in a homeless encampment inside a bombed bridge. They filmed in an actual abandoned Montreal overpass where homeless people were living, paying them to work as extras. Keanu wore an earpiece playing constant white noise during takes to simulate having a malfunctioning brain implant. He said it made him genuinely feel like something was wrong inside my head. Dolph Lundgren based his Jesus freak assassin on street preachers he'd encountered in Los Angeles, carried a Bible on set, and stayed in character between takes, disturbing the crew. The VR dolphin effect cost more than every practical effect in the film combined. Gibson wrote the original story in 1981, predicting internet addiction and data overload. In 1995, audiences with dial-up modems couldn't imagine why anyone would want this much information crammed into their skull. Now we carry it voluntarily and check it every 6 minutes. 4. Screamers, 1995. Peter Weller fought self-evolving killer robots on a frozen planet in this 1995 adaptation of Philip K. Dick's Second Variety. $20 million budget went straight to video in most markets, probably because it's genuinely nihilistic about human survival. They filmed in an abandoned Quebec mining facility during winter when temperatures hit 40 below zero. Multiple crew members got frostbite. The child-shaped screamers were played by real children who had to film death scenes repeatedly. One child's parent pulled him from set after 3 days of trauma. Weller stayed in character between takes, refusing to interact warmly with anyone to maintain his character's paranoia. The cast thought he was genuinely difficult until the rap party when he finally broke character. The practical screamer effects cost $50,000, designed by a Canadian team that would later work on Starship Troopers. Dick's story is about weapons that learn to perfectly mimic humans to kill more efficiently. The film released the same year as Toy Story. We got to choose which vision of artificial intelligence we preferred, and we chose the singing cowboy. Can't really blame us for that one. 3. Virtuosity, 1995. Denzel Washington hunted Russell Crowe as a virtual serial killer made flesh in August 1995. An early AI gone wrong thriller that nobody wanted. Made $24 million on a $30 million budget. The VR premise already felt dated before release. Crowe gained 30 pounds of pure muscle to look artificially perfect. His character is a composite AI of history's worst serial killers and shouldn't move like a real human. Denzel broke his finger during a fight scene, didn't tell anyone, finished the day's shooting, got surgery that night, and returned to set the next morning. The virtual reality morphing sequences use cutting-edge software that crashed constantly, adding weeks to production and thousands to the budget. Crowe improvised the scene where he conducts an orchestra while simultaneously murdering someone. Director Brett Leonard kept it because it made him seem genuinely inhuman in a way I couldn't have written. The premise: a serial killer AI that learns from humanity's worst impulses and becomes unstoppable. In 1995, that sounded like science fiction. In 2025, it sounds like a content moderation meeting at any social media company. Sometimes being too early is the same as being too late. 2. Freejack, 1992. Emilio Estevez gets snatched from a fatal race car crash into a future where the rich hunt people from the past to steal their bodies, with Mick Jagger as the bounty hunter. Released January 1992, made $17 million on a $30 million budget. Nobody could take Mick Jagger seriously holding a gun, which was probably the problem. Jagger took the role because his daughter was an Estevez fan. He trained with firearms for 2 months and insisted on doing his own stunts. They filmed in Atlanta, but needed it to look dystopian. The production designer added graffiti and decay to real buildings without permission. The city sued them. Rene Russo and Estevez dated during production, so their chemistry was completely real, which makes the film's ending hit differently. Anthony Hopkins filmed all his scenes in 3 days and later admitted he only took the role for the paycheck. You can absolutely tell. The premise: wealthy elites literally stealing life and bodies from desperate poor people. We didn't need time travel for that future. We just called it healthcare and the gig economy and kept going. 1. Existenzides, 1999. David Cronenberg made audiences physically ill in April 1999 by showing Jude Law and Jennifer Jason Leigh playing a video game through bioports drilled into their spines, using game consoles made of pulsing flesh. It made $2.8 million in the United States. The organic game controllers were apparently several bridges too far. The bioport holes in the actors' lower backs were practical prosthetics they wore for weeks of filming. Both leads reported phantom sensations in their spines for months after. The game pods were designed to pulse like breathing organisms, constructed from flesh-textured silicone with mechanical internals that made them move. Cronenberg specifically cast Jude Law because he thought Law was too conventionally beautiful and wanted audiences uncomfortable watching horrible things happen to him. The film was banned in several countries, not for violence, but for promoting unnatural human modification. Cronenberg had the ban notices framed. He predicted gaming would become directly plugged into our nervous systems and bodies. He just thought it would look more disgusting. Give it time. We're already wearing the hardware. We just haven't made it wet yet. These films saw streaming, AI nightmares, data addiction, and biohacking coming before any of it existed. They predicted our present and got punished for it with empty theaters and forgotten legacies. While we were watching Independence Day blow up the White House, these movies were showing us what would actually destroy us, ourselves, with better technology. If you want more films that saw the future and got ignored for it, subscribe. Which one do you think got closest to our actual nightmare? Let me know below.